Hello and welcome to another episode of Better Than Yesterday. So my name is Michael Jans van Rensburg, and what I'm here to talk to you today about is why you need to read more books. And this is quite an urgent message that I have for you, because I genuinely think that reading books is something that makes your life a lot better. Even spending about 10 to 15 minutes every day reading a book, if I can get you to do that from watching this video, then I think, your life will be better for it. And why I say that is because that's something that I've been implementing in my life for the last little while. I'd say the last year or so. Been reading more books and be reading, every day. I've made it part of my everyday routine, and I have seen a lot of improvements in my life, and that's what I want to bring to you guys today. So I want to give you a little background on, like my journey with reading books, just to explain myself. So when I was younger, I was a complete nerd. Used to read all the time. Was obsessed with books. I only really got a phone and Wi-Fi at the age of like 12, 13, 14, maybe around there. Before that, I was just obsessed with books. I was into fantasy books a lot. You might see behind me a bunch of posters on the wall. So I was a certified nerd, and I can say that I still hold true to some of those traits. Reading is often seen as something that is like done by people who don't have a good social life, or sometimes that is the case. There's people that just didn't have any friends at school. But I think for a lot of us, we have had a period of our life where we did used to read a lot. And for me, that was when I was younger. And then when I went through high school, I discovered Wi-Fi. I got a tablet. I discovered Clash of Clans, and that was the end of reading for me for the next few years throughout high school. But it's something that since finishing school, I've been purposefully and intentionally getting back into, and it's made my life a lot better. I've actually been able to see quite a few improvements just in the way that it just structures my day nicely, and it puts you in the right frame of mind, which I'm going to be talking about a bit more just now. So the first point I want to make is that we have an attention span epidemic in our generation. The Zoomers, we have no attention spans. I mean, I can guarantee you that probably in the 2 minutes that this video has been running, you've probably checked your phone a couple of times. You might have scrolled down to the comments to see, because just a video of someone speaking, or even if you're listening to this, is not enough to keep our attention span going. So we really have a short attention span, and this spans even past our generation, because it's not like our parents and even their parents they're also spending hours and hours on their phone every day. So I find that we just have such a short attention span. And I don't know about you, but this is something that I don't want. It's something I'm guilty of, and that my attention span is also not very long these days. But it has been getting better since I've been putting in some time reading. So I think that's one of the first big reasons why you should spend some time reading every day, is to break that cycle of just constant quick hits of dopamine. On our phone, we literally can't look at the same image for more than 5 seconds before we're scrolling on to the next one, the next one, the next one. And you'll find when you start getting back into reading, in the beginning it's going to be a bit hard. You'll literally spend 5 minutes reading, and then you'll be like, okay, I need to take a break now. But what you need to do is push past that, because that's really just how poor and how much of a lack of an attention span we actually have, that we can't sit and read one book and one piece of information for longer than 5 minutes. So you need to get past that point and just push past that need to take a break, that urge to find something else to keep your brain going. Push past that and just stay focused on what you're doing, like reading that piece of information. And I find it just helps a lot. And the benefits of having an improved attention span is that you just enjoy life more. Genuinely, you just enjoy life more. When you're constantly getting hit with dopamine, eventually it becomes your brain becomes a bit numb, and you don't enjoy things as much. Genuinely, that's one of the effects of social media, is that you don't enjoy the rest of life as much, because it's not quite as exciting as having the whole world at your fingertips, So having an improved attention span is something that's very worth pursuing, and spending a considerable amount of time reading every day is something that's going to improve your attention span a lot. And my second point is that, like I said earlier, it puts you in the right frame of mind. So what I do in my daily schedule is I spend about 10 minutes or so just reading from this book, the Bible. And this is my favorite book, my go-to, obviously. And I read a chapter from that, and then I also have a devotional book that I read, which is another page. And then I'll get onto the actual book that I'm reading. This is a book that I'm reading right now called Surprised by Joy, C.S. Lewis. And it's a very good one. But I've been reading a few books throughout this year, mainly focused on self-improvement mindset. This is an autobiography that I'm reading. I do actually want to get back into reading some like fantasy novels, and that's some more on the fictional side. And I'll talk more about just now in terms of like the content that you're actually reading. But I think just the initial step of spending that time reading, like it doesn't necessarily matter what you are reading, just spending that time, like I said, will improve the attention span, and it also just puts you in the right frame of mind. Like I said, starting off the day with reading the Bible, literally just, like usually my first instinct when I wake up would be to grab my phone, answer messages, check what's been going on. But if you cut that step out and spend some time reading, it just slows everything down a bit, and allows you to actually focus, like I said, on one thing for a period of time, and that also just allows you to be more focused throughout the day. I find, honestly, you literally feel like you're more present in the moment and more, yeah, you just feel like you've done something productive. I don't feel like after spending 15 minutes on Instagram or TikTok we ever feel like we've done something productive. But if you spend the same amount of time reading, you feel like you've done something productive. And that's always a bonus for your day. And then, yeah, third point I want to talk about, yeah, not to break this up into points, but honestly, I'm just giving, yeah, like there's so many benefits of reading every day, is that, think on this. I always had this thought growing up of you walk into a library and it's like this huge, like almost like a warehouse of books, and you can pick up each book and it's got like 300 pages with small writing, and you're like, sheesh. So like, so one specific person spent a whole amount of time, writing this book, and it just takes up this amount of space in the library, which is surrounded by thousands and thousands of other books. So imagine if you were to fill your brain with all the information that is contained in those books. I mean, you would have a lot of knowledge, where some of it would be useful, some of it would be useless. But it's just interesting to think that there are so many books and so many people have spent years and years of their life writing this information down. And there's a idea I want to get across to you, is that they say the best of those among us are those who not only learn from their own mistakes but learn from the mistakes of others. And how you can learn from the mistakes of others is by, a lot of people will write that kind of stuff down in books, and they will write down their life experiences down, and you can actually learn from the experiences of others. If you're only learning from your own experiences, yeah, that's cool, but you can learn. You'll be so much more of a better person and so much more of an accomplished, established person if you've not only learned from your own mistakes but the mistakes of others, and you can find, that kind of wisdom and knowledge in books. So yeah, they say that there's enough books in the world to, if you were to lay them out like one next to each other, it could cover the whole span of the world like many times over. You know what I mean? So there's that many books out there, and there's so many topics. If you want to read an autobiography, there's a million of those. If you want to read fantasy, if you want to read fiction, if you want to read history, there's so much out there. If you want to read cooking books, any topic that you want to delve into, there's a book out there that's going to satisfy your knowledge and your thirst for that knowledge. So yeah, take that into account. Sometimes we want information so quickly. We want to just be able to click on an article and just get the information, get to the point right away. But sometimes by spending that extra time that it takes to read a book, sometimes to read a book can take you a day, it could take you a week, it could take you a month. But even if you spent that month reading a book and you've learned a valuable life lesson from it, that's a period of time that you've spent throughout the month, that's well spent. So that's something that's worth doing, is spending time every day just reading a book. Even if you are only spending like 15 to 20 minutes, I really think that changes your life, like honestly, because it's just so different from everything else that we fill our time with. Yeah, and then final thing as well is, it improves your vocabulary. I think an attractive or a desirable trait is definitely to be well spoken. And I must say, I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, is that I find we also just have such a lack of like adjectives. So you might have noticed how I just used the words like there. And then also sometimes I find whenever people are describing something, they always just say, oh, it was really nice, or it was really cool, or it was really good. Those are about the three adjectives that we ever use. We never really use anymore. It's a crazy thing, but because I think people's vocabulary is so limited because they aren't developing their vocabulary through reading books. And when you read books, you become someone who is a lot more well-spoken. You're able to use a lot more, bigger variety of adjectives, words like wonderful, fantastic, amazing. These are not like complicated words, but if you start to implement those into your vocabulary and you say, someone asks you how your day was, instead of saying it was good, you say it was amazing, or it was so enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? It's not that actually, if people speak like that, you literally notice the difference, because you're like, wow, they're not just using the same set of three adjectives to describe everything. Nice, oh, it was nice, yeah, I went there, it was also nice. You know what I mean? I think that's something I've noticed, is that we just really have a lack of vocabulary, and it goes into a lot of other things. You know, you can learn some. The best way, they say when you learn a language, the best way to do it is just by hearing it all the time. You know, and by same thing with seeing it all the time. If you're seeing new words the whole time, first time you see the word when you're reading a book, you might not understand it, but if you see it again and again and again, you see the context that it was used in. Yeah, that word gets added into your vocabulary, and you become someone who is genuinely more well spoken. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, is how reading, spending some time reading every single day makes your life so much better, and it's something that I have been implementing over the last year, and I want to start implementing more and more time into reading books. And yeah, I'm nearly done with this one. I'm going to be starting another one that I have up on my bookshelf, which is just behind the camera. So yeah, very excited to get into that, and we're going to be doing a few book reviews on this channel. So stick around if you want to get in that, and we can just start a community of people that aren't addicted to 15-second pieces of information, and we actually have the ability to sit down and get our information from something that might take a bit more effort. I want to be that person, and I hope that applies to you. And if you made it to the end of this video, I'm sure it does. So yeah, spend some time today. When you finish this video, grab a book. I'm sure you have one next to you, and spend some time reading. I think you will be much better for it. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching this episode. And yeah, I just hope you guys will implement that into your life. Let me know in the comments what books you have been reading, if you have, or what book you plan to read. And we'll continue the conversation. It's always a good thing to continue that conversation. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.